At least I don't see it, so I don't know if others can see it.
Oh, right. That's true.
At least I don't. I don't know if somebody else can confirm whether they see your presentation or not.
Ainda não.
Here, I believe that will do the trick.
No, no la vemos.
I don't believe that.
Yes, we can see now.
Oh, great. Bom dia, meu nome é Flávio Sireno, eu sou pesquisador em Ciência e Tecnologia do Governo Federal, sou politólogo, sou cientista político e trabalho no Ministério da Justiça junto ao Centro, nas atividades do Centro. E minha apresentação hoje vai ser uma apresentação bastante simples e ela basicamente vai trabalhar com a lógica de como é o Brasil, de como nós estamos trabalhando essa luta contra o tráfico de drogas e, principalmente, aumentando o grau de inteligência que nós temos. Bem, o Brasil não é um país para amadores, já disse Charles de Gaulle uma vez, que o Brasil é um país complexo em si. Nós temos uma característica de complexidade em governo, em tudo, e somos grandes. O Brasil é enorme. Então, hoje, nós temos vários órgãos.
We have different institutions, agencies, bodies that can work, see and exchange experience on drug trafficking. We have the Ministry of Economy through the Revenue Service and Customs Service in Brazil. We have SINED and SINESP, that are two secretariats, a federal police and a federal highway police. In addition, in each state, Brazil has two police institutions, and the public policies are implemented, most of them, by these polices. We have 27 military polices and 27 civilian police, or judicial police as is known in the rest of the world. Also, one of the countries of the world that organize its federalism through municipalities. In Brazil, we have 5,568 municipalities. Just to give you an idea, the biggest municipality in Brazil is São Paulo, with, I believe, 11 or 12 million inhabitants, and 16, 17 as a whole. That is basically the size of Chile. And we have a municipality, it's not the smallest, but because it's in my state and I like its name, and its name is Solidão, with 4,000 inhabitants. But we have municipalities with 100, 700, 600. Who studies public policy understands that the public policy is locally. A public policy takes place in a place. And this is something that adds complexity in what we do. In our institutional condition, we have a federative system that is complex, where in case of public security, the state police, they run the daily work. The police task force in Brazil, in the daily work, it's the state police that are on the streets that investigate most of the crimes. The federal police investigates wider crimes, as we have in other countries, and you have joint operations in different federative levels, and inter-police and inter-custom services, and federal police, and state police, the police from two states. So with that, we can have an idea the size, the magnitude of these operations in Brazil. But it's not because it is complex that Brazil didn't advance. Actually, on drug policies, Brazil has been achieving great results. Today, we have tools and policies that are very advanced. We have a national drug fund that is mature, that can be strength, but it has major processes. It is demonetizing and defunding trafficking. We have a judiciary system with a high adherence to this policy to manage the assets from trafficking. So all this ecosystem, this dynamic, it is a great environment to work with drug trafficking. But as it was said, trafficking adapted itself fast. And if you want to work with funding, defunding, you have to take another step. You need to know what you need to measure, establish what you want to measure. What is the drug? Where is it? What is the cost? How people are managing that? So you need to perform a great measurement. And in order to do that, you need a metric. And this metric is not always followed because the role of the police is to seize the cocaine, for instance. But you don't have the metric of the size of the package or the purity of all the seizures. So today, this is lacking. Also, you need temporality. You need to know when you seize, what is the high delivery period, and specialty on how this drug comes into Brazil and leaves Brazil. So we need to give a step to reduce the cost of the information. So actually, it's not that there is no anti-drug in Brazil. Yes, there are. All the police has anti-drugs departments. They are effective. They are on the streets with joint operations. There are programs today who have joint intel operation. They share information. These operations have great outcomes and great seizures. However, we need first gather all these information in this metric of quantity, temporality, spatiality, and later we give the second step, that is the public policy coordination, that is to study the market deeply, the drugs operations, and work with the idea of demonetization of these criminal organizations, or in these resources transference among the criminal organizations to the police radar. And how to do that? And this was one of the questions that we started with the CD. I'm not going to show because Jairo is going to present that, but it was designed by the ministry and UNODC to become a unity to work as a great public policy hub. And there was some outcomes, among them a study from the fund, and a study jointly with the unity that Angela coordinates. And basically, when we talked to the center with the CDE, we decided, we agreed that we will find knowledge where it was best guided. And I will move the presentation for Jairo. I believe that is Jairo. I'm sorry, Angela. I'm kind of informal guy. Yeah, I believe he is going to continue the presentation. But basically, the rationale in Brazil, the idea in Brazil is to advance.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Flavio, and really thank you, and thank you for reminding us, first of all, the magnitude of Brazil, the complexity and the multifaceted structure of a response to drug trafficking with different units and different type of police. But also, indeed, to remind us how it's important to fight drug trafficking, particularly fighting the money flows that goes with it. And also this idea that is not, of course, it's very important to seize drugs, but it's also important to measure what this seizure, the information that each seizure has in terms of packaging, in terms of purity, as you said, etc. And so to really elevate also the importance that we need to attach to also to data and information that we need once operations are done for drug traffic against drug trafficking. So with this, you mentioned that Jairo will follow up on some of the points you say. So I'm pleased to introduce Jairo Hidalgo. So I really apologize for my pronunciation. He's a specialist in drug trafficking from the Center of Excellence in Brazil, and he will present the center work on research done on drug pricing in Brazil and how this has been developed through the technical expertise that UNODC brings to support the public policies in Brazil. So we work from Vienna here very closely with the center, so I'm really proud and pleased to introduce Jairo. Over to you.
Obrigado, Angela.
Thank you, Angela. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Yes, Jairo.
No, sorry. I cannot see you or I cannot see your screen, but I don't know if it's only me.
Me either.
Desculpa.
Sorry, me neither.
Yeah, so I'm not the only one. We don't even see you on screen.
Sí, la vemos.
Oh, see? You look.
I believe, Angela, Jairo is on the Spanish channel. I believe so.
Não, português.
Yeah.
Conseguem ver minha tela? Conseguem ver eu?
Can you see me and you see my screen?
I cannot see you on camera. I see you are connected. I see your icon, but I don't see you on camera.
Sim, a transmissão está funcionando com a tela cheia no YouTube, Jairo. Pode prosseguir.
Yes, Jairo, on YouTube you can see you. You can
Okay, so go ahead. If we can see you on YouTube.
Beleza. Bom, ok. Bom dia a todos.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Before starting the topic of this presentation, there is the challenges in design and implementation of monitoring of illicit drugs pricing in Brazil. I believe it is important to contextualize how we reached this product. So I will show you very briefly what the CDE started and from where this work started. So CDE, it is an innovative initiative that resulted from the technical cooperation agreement between the National Secretary on Drug Policies and Asset Management, the UNODC, and the UNPD. The CDE has an objective to operationalize SENED in the studies, research, analysis on trends and threats elaboration, represented by drug trafficking and transnational organized crime, with based on international experience, applied to the Brazilian context. So the implementation of the center, the CDE, was inspired on successful models from UNODC in other countries of the region, that is the case of the Mexico Government Excellence Center, and Statistics Center of Excellence for Statistics on Crime and Criminal Justice in Asia and Pacific, in Korea. These centers, they are focused on knowledge production that is structured to strengthen the technical capacities, analytical capacities, and research capacities in public security sector. In this context, currently the CDE Brazil is one of the largest that it was established in the strategic vision of UNDC for Latin American Caribbean 2022 to 2025, being considered as an initiative to promote research based on evidence. Among our main products developed so far, we have the thematic bulletin on drug trafficking asset management. In this document, we explore how the public policies are enhanced in Brazil from the decapitalization of the criminal organizations. Also, the first strategic study on COVID-19 was and drug trafficking was developed.
Por exemplo, se pode verificar que existe uma variação consideravelmente grande, sim, no preço de 1 quilograma de cocaína entre os países produtores, nos Estados Unidos e alguns dos países da Europa, África e Ásia. Esse exemplo pode nos dar uma ideia da grande variação de preços que poderão ser encontrados nas diferentes unidades da federação. Diante desse cenário, o CDE pensou em uma estratégia experimental para compilar e verificar quais eram as informações disponíveis sobre a temática, de forma que elas possam contribuir para o desenho de uma futura metodologia única e nacional que permita fazer a precificação de drogas ilícitas. Os especialistas do CDE realizaram um levantamento de informações a partir de relatos da mídia sobre apreensões de drogas ilícitas feitas entre o período de março e setembro de 2021. No período de análise, foram identificados 312 registros de apreensões de drogas ilícitas, identificados como cocaína, cloridrato de cocaína, pasta base, o crack, maconha e derivados como skunk, haxixe e êxtase. A cocaína e a maconha, elas foram as drogas com maior número de registros. Para as substâncias avaliadas, a partir das reportagens, se calcularam os valores médios, mínimos e máximos por quilograma. A cocaína, ela apresentou um valor médio de R$ 72.800, mínimo de R$ 1.500 e máximo de R$ 294.000. No caso da maconha, apresentou um valor médio de R$ 4.400, mínimo de R$ 500 e máximo de R$ 180.000. Se observa que os valores estimados para a cocaína, eles apresentam uma maior variação se comparados aos preços da maconha. Esta identificação ela pode indicar uma maior dificuldade de padronização de informação para estimar esses valores. Em geral, todos esses dados eles demonstraram a ausência de padronização dos valores de drogas ilícitas que são apreendidas pelas forças policiais e reportadas pela mídia, bem como de estimativas de preço para variadas substâncias em território nacional. Sabendo que os mercados de drogas ilícitas eles constituem uma ameaça ao desenvolvimento do território, monitorar o comportamento dos preços e dos contextos desses mercados, eles tornam uma estratégia que contribui para a atuação dos formuladores de políticas públicas. Neste sentido, surge a proposta de parceria entre o CDE e o CINSE para a elaboração conjunta e a implementação de uma metodologia que permita o monitoramento do mercado de drogas ilícitas no Brasil, que consistirá no segundo estudo estratégico do CDE. Atualmente, começamos no planejamento de atividades para ajustar as ferramentas e instrumentos desenvolvidos pelo CINSE ao contexto brasileiro, e iniciar um projeto piloto em algum dos estados da federação para aplicar a metodologia proposta. Também foi desenvolvido em conjunto o boletim temático sobre o monitoramento de preços de drogas ilícitas, lições aprendidas na Colômbia e possíveis desafios no Brasil. Finalmente, acreditamos que estes esforços podem contribuir para a formulação de políticas públicas, concordando com uma das premissas do CINSE, que é o que não se conhece, ele não pode ser mensurado. Essa é a nossa apresentação, esses são nossos contatos, o CDE fica à disposição para qualquer esclarecimento. Muito obrigado.
Yeah, thank you, Jairo. Now we have to move quickly because I think we are running a bit of time. So I'm pleased to introduce him. Thank you, Jared, to have made an important point that the price reflects the risk, and so the differentiation of price also helps to understand the risk that traffickers face. With this, we move. You mentioned the work that has been done in Colombia, so we move to Colombia. And we have Laura Castro Diaz, local coordinator of the Illicit Crops Monitoring Integrated System in Colombia, to present the strategies developed within this organization for monitoring illicit drug markets. As a colleague, Laura, I'm pleased to see you and to hear from your presentation. Can I ask you please to stick to the time, because otherwise the last speaker will not have the time. Laura, over to you.
Muchas gracias, señora Ángela. Muchísimas gracias por este espacio. Aprovecho la oportunidad para agradecer al gobierno de Brasil, a la Oficina de Naciones Unidas contra la Droga y el Delito en Brasil, a nuestros colegas del Centro de Excelencia por este espacio, por invitar al Sistema Integrado de Monitoreo de Cultivos Ilícitos en Colombia. Rápidamente me gustaría en estos minutos hablar sobre las lecciones aprendidas de las nuevas dinámicas de los mercados de drogas y cómo a través de entender un poco más estos mercados se pueden proponer algunos lineamientos metodológicos para el monitoreo de precios de drogas ilícitas. El primer mensaje que me gustaría, dar en esta sesión es sobre las nuevas dinámicas de los mercados de drogas ilícitas, cada vez más articulados, globalizados y diversificados. En ello, uno de los nuevos retos que existen en la generación de estas dinámicas y que desafían la comprensión de estos mercados, queremos resaltar estos tres aspectos. Primero que todo, el tema de que los procesos de producción de drogas ilícitas se están dando en zonas no tradicionales. En esta nueva dinámica están apareciendo otros productos que pues, a las autoridades de los diversos países no tienen conocimiento y ello activan una serie de mercados de materias primas y de consumo de drogas ilícitas. Y finalmente estos actores dinamizadores que activan estos procesos y estas transacciones están cada vez más activos en otras zonas del continente. En ello resaltar el tema en que la amenaza del establecimiento de estas actividades de producción sale o trasciende de los tres países tradicionalmente, donde cualquier territorio en el trópico por encima de los 1800 metros es favorable para el cultivo de coca. En ello me gustaría resaltar muy rápidamente algunas evidencias en donde se han empezado a identificar cultivos de coca en otras zonas, como por ejemplo reportes en Honduras, Guatemala, en México. Adicionalmente, como se han identificado por parte de las autoridades desmantelamiento de laboratorios de producción de cocaína, en donde los procesos de extracción, de refinación, extracción y cristalización están trascendiendo, digamos, de estos tres países que tradicionalmente son productores. También me gustaría resaltar los desafíos que hay y que tenemos desde la institucionalidad en pro de generar alianzas en la medida en que desafortunadamente las organizaciones criminales transnacionales que dinamizan estos mercados tienen fuertes articulaciones con la delincuencia local en cada uno de estos países. En ello, finalmente, me gustaría mencionar este lineamiento en donde a partir de la caracterización de la transacción puede ser posible la generación de alertas, no solo lo relacionado con las características del producto y que la señora Ángela mencionaba en el comienzo de la pureza, por ejemplo, incluso los tipos de sustancias que se comercializan en cada una de las dosis, sino también entender un poco cuáles son los actores dinamizadores que están detrás de estas transacciones, entender el origen y el destino de las mismas y en qué territorios se están configurando. En el siguiente punto me gustaría resaltar que si bien la construcción del precio de las drogas ilícitas en un territorio y periodo específico no siempre es posible, los precios son muy valiosos y útiles para comprender la incidencia sobre la oferta y el consumo. En ello, rápidamente mencionar algo que Jairo comentaba en su presentación, y es ese escalonamiento de los precios dependiendo cada uno de los países en donde se configura. En este ejemplo me gustaría mencionar que la X que ustedes ven en la parte de abajo es el valor de la hoja necesaria para producir 1 kilogramo de clorhidrato de cocaína. En este momento, con los datos que están disponibles, alrededor del 2020, un kilo de clorhidrato de cocaína se necesita más o menos el valor de $500 para producirlo. Si ese kilo se convierte en clorhidrato de cocaína en Colombia, ese X se aumenta 3 veces. Si se va con destino ese kilo a los mercados internacionales, si pasa por Centroamérica se vuelve 35, a Estados Unidos puede llegar alrededor de 82 veces X, y a Europa puede llegar alrededor de 132, pero adicionalmente esto no es un mercado exclusivamente internacional. Desafortunadamente también hay incentivos en los mercados locales en donde ese kilo se puede convertir en dosis valoradas alrededor de 71 veces. En ello, el objetivo como tal del monitoreo de los precios radica en consolidar información objetiva, periódica y comparable de diversas zonas de interés que contribuye como un insumo a la toma de decisiones, integrando otras variables para tener una mejor comprensión de los cambios y estas condiciones de estos mercados. Aquí un tema que me gustaría resaltar es la oportunidad y que el tener diferentes niveles de precios contribuye a esa comprensión de las condiciones cambiantes y sobre todo la generación de alertas de los incentivos frente a estos cambios. En ello, rápidamente me gustaría dar un ejemplo en cómo 1 kilogramo de clorhidrato de cocaína puesto en Tumaco, zona de producción, es uno de los municipios que más se produce cocaína, si ese mismo kilo, conservando sus mismas características, es trasladado, transportado a Bogotá, capital de Colombia, se incrementa de $1.450 a $8.500 sin tener ningún cambio de transformación. Pero si ese kilo lo dosificamos y bajo el supuesto en que se pueden generar 2.000 dosis de ese kilo, puede llegar a dinamizar los mercados locales de drogas valorados en $17.000, solo teniendo en cuenta este ejemplo. Adicionalmente mencionar que si bien hemos resaltado el tema de la cocaína, no todo es cocaína. En ello, una de las alertas que en el Informe Mundial de Drogas en el 2020 se pronunció es alrededor de 1.047 tipos de drogas de síntesis y nuevas sustancias psicoactivas que han aparecido en el 2020. Que si trasladamos este tipo de sustancias a los mercados locales de drogas, podemos identificar que, por ejemplo, el éxtasis, 1 kilo de éxtasis en polvo, formateado en tabletas, en 10.000 tabletas, puede llegar a costar alrededor, o dinamizar alrededor de $70.000 o 4.000 sobres en 80.000. Y si ponemos el ejemplo con el LSD, en donde una hoja carta puede ser el medio para transportar esta sustancia, en donde medio centímetro es una dosis. Una hoja carta se puede convertir en 1.200 dosis valoradas en el alrededor de $8.400. Que sí.
Apologize because her microphone is kind of low. So here we have a challenge in this change of drug trafficking because in this case, specifically in this case, a load can be around 1,400 papers that can cost approximately $12 million. And now finally, I'd like to bring the proposals, the follow-ups proposed, and that is to identify the products being trafficked, the products being consumed, standardized concept, unities, and methodologies of connection on units of information validation of information to establish the areas where these transactions are taking place and determine what are the methods of connections, detect the sources of information, the period of collection. Everything is possible if we have a good interinstitutional, intersectorial coordination. So this is the message. The message is that it's not possible to control what we don't know. Regarding institutional coordination, we have different perspectives. Regarding drugs, we have different ideas. The drug market. All of these are keys to establish a strategic alliance to monitor these dynamics. It can become a very useful and helpful mechanism. Thank you very much, and good morning.
Thank you, Laura, for this such an interesting and putting so many, concrete also to understand the size and the differences in prices in detail. So thank you. Now we have a last presentation from Lieutenant Colonel Liz Quadros de Loza. He is the chief of the International Center for Strategic Studies Against Drugs Trafficking in the Anti-Narcotics Direction of the National Police in Colombia. And in partnership with UNODC, he will discuss the impacts on monitoring the illicit drug market in Colombia that, as we know, in Colombia, UNODC is doing a lot of this monitoring in partnership with the police, with the Ministry of Justice. So, Lieutenant Liz, the floor is yours.
Ángela, muy buenos días para todos, un saludo muy
Good morning, everyone. A special thank you from the Narcotics Department. Thank you, the Center of Excellence, the CDE for the space, all the members involved for this space to talk about this coordinated work between the Ministry of Justice and the United Nations. Can you see my presentation?
I don't know, can someone?
Yes,
yes, okay.
As you know, the National Police is presenting this year the new strategy against narco traffic, the Esmeralda strategy. We are restructuring the fight against traffic based on all the studies that we had in the past years, trying to identify the real impact of narco traffic. That is our target. And that's why there's almost 10 years that we have a methodology for price information collection that can help us improve the strategies. As we have been working, first we established the need on how the drug pricing worked, and after almost 10 years of study, we identified that the base price of cocaine was $2,500, and we didn't find a rationale in the market of what was happening. And in order to that, the first thing that we did was to design a collection instrument that might be applied in all the national police units. So we selected the sources, the one that would work with us, and we worked with the different types of police. Then we shared with some other units. And once we consolidated the average price in Colombia that we might have in every region, every department and municipality, then we started to trying to understand the price. So we established a methodology where we started to create international coordination to measure the real impact of the narcotics work. And with the International Affairs Department of the National Police, we were capable to identify what would be our source of information at international level. And with that, we understood that the police of Colombia has different units in the world. We have in 4 or 5 countries where we started to collect with the assistance from our aligned agencies in the work against drugs, such as Interpol. So we start to collect the price information. We had the prices of 108 countries, and understand the dynamic in the roads. And so we started to have conferences, information exchange. We established our own information system to analyze the prices. And with this analysis and collection, we analyze the reports, and you have a periodicity on information collection these 10 years. We have a database that is big, a database, and it enables us to the possibility to disseminate some documents that you can access in the website. In the end, we have the link from Siena, where it shows the impact and why this price was the first objective that we had to review in narcotics operation to see where we were going and what was the impact. Esmeralda operation worked in a way with this illicit drug because as a narco traffic, it has a real impact in all the illicit drug system. Remember the national police members, we don't have it finished, so we work in a system of illicit drugs. So we have more than 6 publications where you can see the impact of narco traffic and what is the results of that in the society. So we have the average of prices in countries that we analyze. We have 40 countries that provides us information with trafficking route that the organization has been established. The use of information price collection system in order to establish operations in strategic areas where we have a real impact drug trafficking, and also to create strategy, understanding the role, the strategy, the importance for these criminal organizations. We started to review with the first study the quantities versus profits. So we were capable to see that these points that we know in North America or some countries of Europe, we started to see that in Oceania we had traffic of small quantities, but as mentioned by Laura, this topic on to understand the purity or the characteristics where a kilo became 2, 3, 4 kilograms and how it took place. And it made that the gains, the profits of these organizations were bigger. And we identified that the roads, usually they are not visible, or it's not so simple to see it, identify where we have small quantities traffic, but with a higher incidence. And this dynamic economics of drug trafficking established the roads, air roads, maritime roads, and what we had from our operations led us to look for new focus, new international partnerships, and with that we created a new document for illicit drugs. The effects of the financial flow of illicit drugs was the real impact, and we see that the effects were huge prices, high prices, and with a real data collection performed by the police showed that following the prices allows us to identify what are the supply chains and guide our investigation through this information. Where when we analyzed the cocaine market, what we had was to reveal the routes and the prices established, the destination countries of the trafficking. So we identify these countries and then we establish the partnership alliance to understand with their information the economic impact regarding the implementation and interventions that can be that can take place, and it allows a more effective action to develop these operations. Here we can see that on the studies that we had, we established 4 variants of results from the police. There's the price, identified destinations, and it allows us to have information exchange with our partners. So we have been working with the Department of Science, Technology in Colombia to use this technology that's been applying for 10 years to have an impact. So you can understand the real dimension and perform a study on traffic and price analysis. We also work with the Michigan University, where we identified new roads in Latin America and the money flow. And as different of what we thought in the past year, we found contrary flows that allow us to identify trafficking roads, the exit of drugs, but also the entry of these drugs. And finally, I'd like to show you the webpage of the drug trafficking study. You can have access with this presentation to the webpage and the products that we show to understand why we need in the operational work to understand this price in order to translate in operations with impact and develop new strategies. In addition to Esmeralda, but the strategy where we have the national police to guide this fight against drug trafficking. Thank you very much. Thank you, Angela, for the opportunity and the invitation.
Thank you, Liz, for this, again, insight into really also from the police perspective. With this, I think we are a bit late, but not too much. So I just wanted to thank all the presenters and particularly the enriched substance that they had presented and delivered. And so, at least for me, I really was inspired by many ideas and many of the things that we can all apply in other countries, also in terms of collecting information on price, but also beyond also the price. So with this, really, thank you very much, Flavio. Thank you, Jairo. Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Liz. And thank you to all of you that listened to this interesting presentation. And I'm sure that if you want to have a material or know more from the presenters, I'm sure the Center of Excellence in Brazil will be happy. You can always reach out to them and they can give you the material. So with this, good afternoon, at least here from Vienna, and a good starting of your day in Brazil and Colombia. Bye.